Good morning, friends, or top of the morning to ya, as they say in Ireland. Today we're going to be reading stories about St. Patrick's Day. Now, St. Patrick's Day is an Irish holiday that we celebrate here in America, and it is a day that we wear green, and we talk about leprechauns and trying to find leprechauns, and we cook traditional Irish foods like corned beef and cabbage. And today we are going to read The Night Before St. Patrick's Day by Natasha Wing. 'Twas the night before St. Patrick's Day, the day to wear green. Not a creature was stirring except Tim and Maureen. They decked out the den from ceiling to floor with streamers and rainbows and shamrocks galore. Later they carefully made traps with gold charms and rings. I bet we catch a leprechaun, they love shiny things. For if they caught one, so legend told, they'd find where he buried his big pot of gold. They set all the traps round the room with great care, in hopes a wee Irishman soon would be theirs. The children then nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of gold coins danced in their heads. "Happy St. Paddy's," said Dad early the next morning. Then he started to play bagpipes without warning. He huffed and he puffed an old Irish song. Mom dished out green eggs and sang loudly along. When from their bedroom there arose such a clatter, the kids ran down the hallway to see what was the matter, and what to their wondering eyes should appear but a terrible mess! A leprechaun was here! "Be quiet," whispered Maureen. "He's hiding somewhere. When we find him, remember, we must hold his stare. For if you look away, if you so much as blink, leprechauns vanish, quick as a wink." The kids trailed muddy footprints back and forth across the floor, which led them under Tim's bed and past the closet door. And then, inside a trap, they heard someone giggle, a real live leprechaun. They both saw him wriggling. His eyes, how they twinkled, his body so tiny. His hand clasped a trinket so gold and shiny. He was dressed in all green from his head to his toes, and he looked like a cobbler wearing fairy-sized clothes. The children approached him, staring straight in his eyes. "Tell us where the gold is. Don't be tricky. No lies." "I buried it under a rock smooth and hard. It's marked with an X right in your backyard." But when the kids went outside with their shovel and pick, they saw instantly it had been a big trick. "Happy St. Patrick's Day! Ha! I fooled you! It's time to disappear. Happy St. Paddy's Day to you, and better luck next year." Now, that gives a wonderful idea to build a leprechaun trap. And you can build it out of anything. At my house, we always build it out of things we find in the recycle bin. For example, this year, our leprechaun trap is built with a cereal box, a piece of cardboard from a box that we got from the delivery man, and some toothpicks, and paint, and a paper towel tube. But you could use anything you could find at your house. Use your imagination. And that brings me to one of our crafts today. Down on the porch, we have all the materials to make our very own leprechaun lookers. Now you can see These need your bit of creativity and magic so that maybe you can spy some leprechauns. Now I have a little song about a leprechaun. I'm a little leprechaun dressed in green, the tiniest man you have ever seen. If you catch me, so it's told, I'll give you my pot of gold. Now, the next story I have is about St. Patrick. Now, the story of St. Patrick was a real person, but the story goes, or the legend as it were, goes that St. Patrick was able to scare all the snakes out of Ireland. Now, I've been to Ireland and never saw a snake, and as far as I know, there aren't any there. But I'm not really sure how he did it. And this story tells us the legend of St. Patrick. This is called The Last Snake in Ireland, a story about St. Patrick by Sheila McGill Callahan, illustrated by Will Hillenbrand. Ooh, looks like there are snakes everywhere, even coming out of the loo. Everyone knows that St. Patrick sent the snakes out of Ireland because they were so naughty folks were sick and tired of having them around. He tried for years to make them behave, but they just laughed at him. Then he found a gang of them teasing his old lame dog Finbar, and he lost his temper. Patrick went up a cliff overlooking the ocean and rang a snake call on his magic bell. Snakes slithered in from Kerry, they oozed up from Cork. From every corner of the Green Isle they answered his summons. When all the snakes were gathered, he led them to the edge of a cliff, swinging his bell around his head, ringing it louder and louder until the trees shivered and the mountains danced. One by one, the snakes crawled down into the sea. Some became eels, some became sea serpents, and some swam all the way to the land that we call America to move in with their cousins. Patrick was very pleased with himself and was thinking of a hot, tasty bit and a seat by the fire when he heard a hissy kind of laughter. Twined around a bush in a grassy hollow was the biggest, oldest, sneakiest snake in all of Ireland. "Why aren't you off with the others?" asked Patrick. "I didn't want to go. That ocean is a nasty, cold sort of place for an old gentleman like me. So I just stuffed some leaves in my ears so I couldn't hear your bell. I like it here at home." Patrick knew it would do no good to ring his bell again. He'd used up all its snake magic. "Won't you be lonely?" he asked. The snake gave Patrick a scornful hiss and slid away. Whenever Patrick went out, the snake was waiting. If he walked in the forest, the snake leaned down from a branch to tap him on the head. When he talked to his friends in the evening, the snake looked in the window. If he sat in the doorway with a mug of buttermilk, the snake oozed up to take a swig. Patrick even found him under the quilt in his bed. Patrick thought and thought about what to do. It wouldn't be sporting to give the miserable creature no chance at all. Finally, he came up with a plan. He made a box of rare wood and lined it with wool. On the lid, he carved the snake's picture, painted as red as the Red Hound of Ulster. He fitted each side of the box with an iron bolt that would slide home when the lid closed. He waited for summer to end. On the first chilly day of autumn, Patrick made his way to the snake's den by Lough Finn. The snake was not happy to see him. He really didn't like Patrick very much. He showed his fangs. "What do you want? Don't you know it's time for me to go to sleep until spring?" he hissed. "I've been thinking about that," said Patrick. "And I've worried about you all alone in the cold with the snow falling down and the ice filling in front and your back doors. Just to show you there's no hard feelings, I made you a fine warm house where you can lie snug all winter. You have to think about it. You have to think about tomorrow. I've got my own house, the snake said grumpily. He was very sleepy. As far as I'm concerned, tomorrow is April 1st, because that's when I plan to wake up. There's no call for you to be so touchy. I'll just leave your fine new house here by the edge of the loft in case you want to look it over. If there's one thing Patrick was sure of, it was that snakes were very curious creatures. He left the box on the shore and hid behind a bush. It wasn't long before the snake's head popped out of the hole. He looked all around. When he was sure Patrick was nowhere to be found, he went to inspect the box. My, he muttered. For sure that's the handsomest box ever made in Ireland. He wanted it more than anything he had ever seen, but he didn't trust the 4 iron bolts. Maybe, he thought, I could put the box deep in my hole so no one can lock it while I'm inside. First, I better make sure that I fit. He crawled onto the fine wool cushion, and he fitted exactly. He was so comfortable that he would have gone to sleep then and there if Patrick hadn't popped out from behind the bush. How do you like your new house? Whirra, whirra, I'm done entirely, thought the snake. Quickly as a wink, he swelled himself until he spilled over the sides. See, it's much too small. But it was a kindly thought, and I thank you. Now, crooned Patrick, who was standing over the box. I'm sure that you'll pull yourself in a little. You'll find it a fine fit. Like lightning, he moved to slam the lid, but the snake was even faster. He erupted like a fiery streak and made for the hills, with Patrick running after, carrying the box and roaring at the top of his lungs. The snake slithered up one side and down the other of a blue stack mountain. With the strength of his anger upon him, Patrick pushed up the mountains open, forming the long glen of hunting which you can still see to this day, and lay in wait on the other side. The snake passed him too quickly to be caught and plunged into Loch Erm, with Patrick swimming behind. They flashed through the glens of Antrim and tip-tap tipped across the Giant's Causeway, where, at last, they were halted by the sea. I've got you now, my sly one, Patrick crooned as he lowered the box, hoping the snake would jump in. And the snake was about ready to give up when an eagle swooped down and caught him in her talons. Help me, Patrick, help, he cried. Now, it's true that Patrick wanted to get rid of the snake, but not this way. It was his stake, and he wanted victory to be his victory. He jumped into a coracle, beached upon the shore, laid the box at his side, and paddled along after the bird. See, there's the eagle with the snake. She headed over the Isle of Mull and up the Firth of Lorne until she came to her eyrie above Loch Ness, where the hungriest eaglets in all of Scotland waited for their dinner. The eagle was brave. The eagle was clever. But she was no match for Patrick. With one jump, he leaped from the coracle up to the nest and lifted her over his head. Her beak fell open, and the snake fell into the open box below. The lid snapped shut, and the bolt slid into place. Patrick jumped down, overturning the boat, and spilled the box overboard. "Let me out," the snake cried. "Let me out and back to Ireland. I promise I will be good." "And so will I," Patrick crooned as he righted the coracle for his homeward journey. "But you'll have to wait till tomorrow." Years later, when he was much closer to being a real saint, Patrick started to worry about how the snake was doing. He made the journey back to the banks of Loch Ness. "I'm here," he shouted at the top of the lungs. "Tomorrow has finally come." There was a troubling of the water as the surface was broken by huge red coils. Patrick jumped back in alarm as the face, the size of a house, loomed over him, its forked tongue flickering in and out. It was his old enemy, the snake. "So," he hissed, "it's tomorrow, is it? You took your time. Patrick plucked up his courage. But I'm here, and you don't seem to have done too badly. Small thanks to you. As soon as I hit the water, I started to grow, and I never stopped. There's a good magic for snakes in this lock. Your puny box broke into little pieces with the pressure. He grinned. I like it here. They call me the Loch Ness Monster. And so that is one story of how Patrick got the snakes out of Ireland. Now I have a little poem about 5 green shamrocks. One green shamrock in the morning dew, another one sprouted, and then there were 2 green shamrocks growing beneath a tree. Another one sprouted, and then there were 3 green shamrocks by the cottage door. Another one sprouted, and then there were 4 green shamrocks near a beehive. Another one sprouted, and then there were 5 green shamrocks, bright and emerald green. Think of all the luck these shamrocks will bring. Now, we have a shamrock craft today, and there are 2 versions of this craft, depending on which you would like to do and which you find the easiest. This one is to make your own stained glass shamrock, and it uses tissue paper, construction paper, and contact paper. But if you find the contact paper too unwieldy, you can always make a shamrock like this one. And to make shamrocks, to draw this outline, it's just, what do you kind of see here? They're little hearts that instead of having the point down the bottom, they just all meet in the middle. So this is another project that's waiting for you down on the porch. Now, the last story I have for you today is called How to Catch a Leprechaun by Adam Wallace, pictures by Andy Elkerton. The night is dark, the streets are quiet, St. Patrick's Day is near. I tap my hammer so you'll know the leprechaun is here. I'll pull out all your laces, put glitter in your hair, and when you walk around you'll see my gold coins everywhere. You'll never catch me in your trap, but yes, I'll make a scene. I'll turn the whole place upside down. Your toilet will be green. House number 1, I'm going in. Really, that's your trap? I'm in and out without a doubt. That one was a snap. And now I think it's getting worse. A shoebox and a stick? I'll dance a jig and still escape. We leprechauns are quick. Another house, I fixed your shoes. They really were quite smelly. I'll eat all the nuts you left as bait and leave with a full belly. And now you're talking. Look at this. It's dandelion tea. I'm still too speedy for your trap. The tea is mine for free. I know you want my pot of gold. That iron cage was clever. But I've been alive 200 years. You won't catch me ever. Ha 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 ha! Now you're getting fancy, but I'll escape with twinkle toes. It's a fancy pantsy dancy. It seems to me an engineer has helped with this design. Too bad this little leprechaun is going to be just fine. Your entire house is one big trap from ceiling to the floor. Nice try indeed, but soon enough, I'll stroll right out the door. The leprechaun begone 3000 gave me quite a scare, but without a 4-leaf clover, I won't be caught in there. You'll never catch this leprechaun, impossible, that's a fact, unless one day a brilliant child designs the perfect trap. will that child be? Better luck next year. Maybe that child will be you this year. I really hope that you take some time to build a leprechaun trap, and if you get a parent or guardian's permission, maybe you could take a picture of it and post it on our Facebook page. So I have one more poem for you. This one is called I Caught a Leprechaun, and may you be so lucky to. Mother, mother, what do you say? I caught a leprechaun out at play. Mother, mother, what do you say? That little leprechaun ran away. Mother, mother, what do you think he meant when he turned and gave me a wink? Now, that poem was written by Jean Warren. So, remember, we have some really cool projects waiting for you down on the porch. They're first come, first serve, and I can't wait to see what you make. And if you get a chance, see if you can make a leprechaun trap. And that is all for me today. So I wish you happy St. Patrick's Day. And I'm going to say, so long now. Till next time, see you later, alligator and a wild crocodile. Have a good day. Bye-bye.